Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Dragon Network. We're here for pregame show. Tonight's girls matchup between Fairland and the mighty Minford Falcons. Who was the guy from WSAZ?
Bob Bowen.
Bob Bowen, nicknamed in the mighty Minford Falcons back years ago.
Yep.
I can remember him calling them that, and it kind of stuck, and that's kind of what they've affectionately been known as. And I know their new AD, Kristen Ruby, down there, she talks about the mighty Minford Falcons. Before we get talking about that, we're joined Mr. Dave Carroll right here beside me. Coach Jack Harris.
I'm the old codger.
So he's the old codger. Coach Carroll's the old codger. Coach Harris is the older codger. And then over on the other side, he's not necessarily a codger, but a Southeast official, Southeast Ohio official, does some officiating in the state of West Virginia also. Phil does football, basketball, and baseball, softball still?
Just baseball.
Just baseball.
Yeah.
Phil's been doing some assigning for the OVC the last few years. We've got to know him, as one of our officials that comes in here. A great guy. Phil, talk to us a little bit about if somebody's watching this show tonight, what would they need to do? What was the first steps to become an official, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, softball, whatever? What's some of the first steps they need to do?
Great question. The way to get into officiating now is search the web, right? OHSAA.org, I believe it is, and search how to be an official. There's a link on there. It's really basic and small. It tells you it's not really complicated. Just get in there, put your name. They'll send you information. You log in. Now, to become an official, most of it's online. You get to take care of it. I think the online class about 10 hours, and then you're done. And then you go to your local association, and those guys plug you in on some court training and some signal training and all that kind of stuff. And they really start you really at the basic level to build you up and see what level you can do.
And I know when I did it several years ago, it's 4 meetings a year, correct? You got to attend 4 chapter meetings where you guys kind of go over some scenarios, go over some rules, some different things that each of you maybe have saw throughout the last couple weeks, and just kind of become better officials by networking and talking. Is that still correct?
That's absolutely correct. One of those the meeting points is going over points of emphasis of the year of the National Federation, new rules, or adjusting the new rules, how they have to apply to the game, and that's a great place to go to is the 4 local meetings. You also had to do 1 online state meeting for Ohio as well.
As you talked about it, new rules. One of the new rules this year is the free throw, foul count kind of deal. How do you think it used to be 7 fouls per half? You went to 1-on-1.
Correct.
On the 10th foul, you went to 2 shots, and that was per half. This year with the change, it's 5 fouls per quarter, and once you get to the 15th foul, you start shooting 2. How has that affected the game for you as officials, and also how do you think it's affected for teams?
Well, I think when they applied the rule this year, it's been in college for a number of years on the women's side. It's absolutely changed the flow of the game, the tempo of the game. It gets it going. So the kids are more judicious. Coaches are more judicious with it. It gets the flow back into the second and the fourth quarters, the 2 important parts of the game. I love the change. I know at first I had some animosity and some angst to it. I'm like, see how it applies. And it's done nothing but, I believe it's nothing but elevate and get the flow of the game a lot easier.
I agree. I have the opportunity. I watch all the boys' games, all the girls' games, and it's definitely changed the game as far as the length of the game has really been shortened up a little bit because the flow is a lot quicker. Like you said, we're not spending the entire second quarter or fourth quarter just shooting free throws.
Yeah, correct. The main reason why it wasn't just the flow of the game they changed the rule is the safety rule. So when you shoot the 1-and-1, there's more kids getting hurt in between the 1-and-1 shots going for rebounds. So taking that away, you only have 1 chance versus 2 chances to get hurt between the 1-and-1 fouls.
Yeah, I did read that.
That's a good point.
So I think it's been good. I know a lot of coaches were apprehensive when they started, like, how's this going to work out? A lot of fans were kind of apprehensive. I heard a lot of rumblings, this is going to, different things. And now we're halfway through the season, and the fans seem to be enjoying this change a little bit. So even though we were apprehensive at the beginning, now it's been a good thing.
Absolutely.
As we focus here, we turn the focus over a little bit. I know you've been able to watch a lot of basketball in the tri-state area. I'm not asking you who do you think the best team or anything is like that, Phil. I'm not asking you that. But just in general, from a basketball standpoint, the enjoyment of going out and watching games, and not watching, but officiating, working games in the tri-state area. What's that mean to you?
Well, I will tell you, being a part of the OVC for the last 15 years, I absolutely enjoy doing majority of the teams. Meaning is, I love going to all the sites. Great fans, great coaches, great programs, and the kids are pushing and getting better each year, and the officials are being pushed to be able to get that next level officiating, always trying to better themselves. The teams I love to do is every year seems to be the local teams, unless I have to travel. Does that make sense?
Yes, I agree.
If I don't, like last night, I got home at 1:30 in the morning. So if I could be home closer around 9 o'clock, 9:30, that's where I want to be.
Now, I know in Ohio you have the opportunity kind of, as the assigner, and I know you get assigned games, you kind of stay here within probably 50 to 80-mile radius. Do you have that same ability in West Virginia assigners, or is it kind of all over the state?
So everybody is, like an independent contractor. We get to accept games or decline games on what we choose we want to do. So most of the assigners that I have that have the ability to assign me are local Charleston area. I do go to Logan. I do go to Chapmanville. I love going to those schools. Looks like I go to Fairland, Chesapeake, and Portsmouth, and Gallia. I love all the schools in the area to do those games.
As kind of a last question for you, and we'll get into some Fairland basketball and some different things. Do you tend to normally work with the same crew every night, or are you kind of different crews, and how does working with the same crew help, and working with different crews kind of hinder you?
Well, that's a great question, because it's a dual-edged sword, right? Working with the same guys, you know their temperament, you know the way they call, they know the way they're doing through there. You work with a different crew, you have to be crisp, because you don't know what they're thinking. So you're working with a new guy every day. I kind of like the crew aspect, because I know what my partners are thinking about, how they call. We have the same tempo. I know what they're wanting to get out of the game, and we know each other, how we work. I love it both ways, but it really keeps you on your game when you're really working with new guys throughout the area. West Virginia doesn't do crews. Ohio does crews, and it works best that way.
I agree. Phil, I appreciate you. I know you guys had the second game of the day today. It was an outstanding game for not only for the teams but for the officials. You guys did a great job. I appreciate you coming up. You kind of stuck around all day helping some of the younger officials, pointing out some things and helping them along the way, and sticking around helping us out. Again, we appreciate it. You're more than welcome to stay on, chime in with us, or if you want to kind of cut out and go back and watch some more basketball, it's completely up to you. We appreciate you coming on.
Hey, thank you for the honor, guys. You guys have a great night. God bless.
See you, Phil.
Yes, sir.
As we switch over here a little bit, we're going to talk a little bit of this past week. And
I got a story about Phil.
Okay,
I've got to give you one. When I first came back with Coach McClung, we were coaching middle school girls, which is these girls that we've got playing on the varsity team now. Very first game, go down to Portsmouth. Cam's sick. Issa's not playing but 2 quarters. And we played absolutely terrible. And I stood up and I just said something. He was calling with a brand new guy. I mean, he was breaking him in. Sit down the rest of the game, Coach. I don't want to hear it. All right, get back. Anyway, I had to tell you a story about him.
That's funny.
I'm going to ask him a question.
Oh, my bad.
But that's okay. I was going to ask him if this new foul count had maybe how many technicals has he had to call this year? Is it kind of, tapered off because of that?
That's a good question. I'll ask him. I'll see him here in a little bit. I'll ask him that, and we'll kind of get back to you guys on how that goes.
I haven't seen very many.
I haven't seen very many this year either. Hey, talking about this week, we've had an exciting week here at Fairland High School and some different things. We had a lot of questions about some things. Girls, Thursday night, big win here over Coal Grove, OVC win, getting us back in. I believe that was Fairland's 41st straight victory in the OVC for girls. We're approaching, I believe the boys had the record at 46 straight a few years ago. Nathan had that, so Jonathan's getting close. I believe it was 46. I'll have to go back and look at my numbers. I do apologize. We don't have a lot of our numbers down. Our internet was down most of the morning when I was going to be doing this research. But I believe boys were on 46 straight, so Jonathan's getting close to that record. So I know he's won 41 straight. That was Thursday night. Big night Thursday night. We're setting up for the WSAZ Fired Up Friday, and kind of how that works. And I know, Coach, you were involved a little bit with that, with me and Tessa. WSAZ chooses the school they want to come to. We don't go to them. We don't approach them. We had no say-so in where they were going to go or what school they were going to come to. And normally they don't do basketball. They've never done basketball before. They've done football the last 2 years. And Joseph come over to us, and he said, look, this is something that we want to start. We want to start basketball. Fired Up Friday for basketball. And he said, we kind of looked around the tri-state area. We looked at a lot of teams. And he said, everything that we kind of was trying to check boxes on, we kept coming back to Fairland. Tradition of basketball, winning tradition. He said, your boys check the box. He said, you've won several games, you've won sectional titles, you've won district titles, you've been to the state tournament. Your girls program, same thing. He said, and he said, everything that you do here at Fairland, we just kept drawing back to it. And we knew that because of that tradition and the community and everything, you were the school that we wanted to choose. So this was kind of a new thing for WSAZ. Like I said, it's the first one for basketball. They've been doing football the last 2 years. We appreciate the powers that be that chose us. We put on a tremendous production yesterday morning. Our community was here. I don't know how many kids we had. You know,
I know
crazy.
one thing. This guy didn't get much sleep the last 3 days.
No, I think I've been in bed a total of 6 hours since Thursday morning at 7 a.m. I got to see Megan for about 15 minutes ago. She come into the hospitality room, dropped Ellison off, and took Yardley with her. That's about all I've seen Megan, and I appreciate Megan so much over the last 72 hours of just saying, look, get out of the house. I know you're going to school. Stay there. Get done what you need to get done. I'll see you Sunday. And my girls have been that was very emotional for me yesterday morning to get choked up now. Having my girls here for that experience. You know, we've done a lot of stuff at Fairland. We've won a lot of games. Yesterday morning was kind of the pinnacle of what we've done here. And I can't say enough about you helping us out, Coach Carroll, Tessa, Miss Hayes, the community. I know Tracy Bunch, I'm going to miss some. Tracy Bunch, Ricky Schiffko, Hall's Funeral Home, Gorby's Feed, and many more businesses that were just pitched in and said, what do you need to make this possible? Most importantly, WSAZ, we can't thank them enough. They come in yesterday morning and just touched our gin and said,
they did a good job. But Jeff, you and Ms. Leap had everything ready to go. And I know you were here till late in the night and you were here early. And kudos to you, I mean, for making that come off. I mean, my gosh, we had fireworks in here and smoke and all kinds of stuff. It was pretty special, and the community enjoyed it.
Right.
And I'm glad I was able to be part of it.
And probably the best part about Fired Up Friday was, by golly, we beat the Pointers last night.
Yes.
You know, that game was a great game. You know, as I step back and look at that game last night, we went out and got something to eat before we come back in and set up for this stuff today. Chase Allen had an amazing game offensively. I think he had 18 points. The one kid that jumps off the paper at you, not because he had 17 points offensively, but what he did defensively against Caleb Lovely. Probably one of the premier players in the tri-state area. He's probably going to win Player of the Year in the OVC, District Player of the Year, and be in the running for the State Player of the Year. Had 14 points. And 9 of those were in the first quarter. Brody went into lockdown mode and played unreal.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, the coaching staff, Coach Speed had a good – I mean, you're playing a boxing one on him, and when they double teamed, it was a triangle and two.
Right.
I mean, I was up here explaining that to people last night, and I said, look, South Point runs through Caleb Lovely.
Yeah, they do.
And if you are going to stop them, make those other 4 guys beat you.
Right.
You know, and Coach Speeden and his staff did a great job, and like you said, Brody did a great job. And when he was moving, those guys doubled, they rotated, they played good core defense, good shell defense. It was.
I went over to Brody maybe a couple hours ago, and I had to tell him. I just walked over to him. I said, "It's the greatest defensive effort that I've ever seen played in this gym."
Oh yeah.
And I said, "I know you had some help at times, but the intensity on that young man's face on every possession, not just one here or there, every possession. He was as tense and quick and." Just an outstanding game plan as far as I'm concerned.
Hey, it was good.
It was. And it's kind of funny. Coach Speed, I was talking to them Thursday because, we were Coach Speed and some of his guys were coming back in so we could go over some Fired Up Friday stuff. And I said, Coach, what are you thinking about tomorrow? And he said, we went to Spring Valley the other night. He said Spring Valley was throwing a bunch of junk defenses at South Point. He said that's not normally what we do. He said, but the more I watched it and the more people I talked to, he's like, we're going to take some bits and pieces of what Spring Valley did. We're learning from those. We're going to kind of put it in. And man, they executed it to a T. And I tell you also, Trevor Lockout coming off the bench last night. Some huge minutes. Keegan just running the floor 2 or 3 times. He gets an open layup just because he's sprinting the floor so daggone hard.
He had a great ball fake too.
Oh, he did.
He did.
Man, if he would have made that, it rimmed out. He made that. I was coming up out of my seat. Just that little shimmy, step through, and just left that guy there. It was a great move. Everybody, Noah Markham. Everybody.
Noah played. I thought Noah played well, but I'm going to tell you, South Point's got some good players. That Smith kid's good. I like the Wilburn kid. He was the running back.
You're right.
They took Wilburn out of the game, honestly, too, after the first quarter.
Number 50 comes in and he gets points immediately. I don't know his name right off, but he's kind of a hefty kid, but he can flat get up. And to beat a team like that, you've got to give an effort like they gave last night. Did Brody ever come out of the game?
Brody never come out of the game. He played straight through.
I didn't think he
did. He was talking the whole time. He just.
I want to tell you this too, and we talked about how well Brody played, but I watched Caleb Lovely play, and Caleb had a good game, but I could tell he was getting frustrated.
Yes.
You can, especially with us coaches. I mean, you can look at a kid and look at their body language, and because he came down here and took some bad. I mean, he took some.
Yeah.
He forced some shots. Yeah,
forced some shots in the fourth quarter.
I don't think he was as frustrated as his dad was.
Now his dad
was sitting right down. He stood up the whole game, and there was some little old ladies. I'm not sure. I think it might have been John Buchanan's mom or somebody down there. Asked him to sit down. He says, I ain't sitting down. you can't make me sit down. He's down there barking at the coaches. You guys know how to set a screen? He was just going off. But that's that defense again. The defense frustrated.
Well, no, South Point
coach and it frustrated.
They made a couple good runs there, especially there toward the end. Coach Wise does a good job down there. There's no doubt about that. Travis does a good job, and they made a run, but luckily, we hit foul shots down there toward the end.
We did. We had some shots. Brody hit a couple of free throws. Chase Allen hit a couple of free throws. For South Point, I believe it was Zathan Haney come off the bench, had not scored, had not attempted a shot to the fourth quarter. He's got 15 of the 19 in the fourth quarter.
Did he really?
Yeah, he had 15 of the 19.
I didn't realize that.
Quarterback coach who got hurt during the year.
Yeah. We were down here, and we were so involved in the game, and Megan was at home, and she's texting me, and she's like, how many points does Haney have? And I was like,
but let's also think about, too, he got a lot of good looks because of the way we played defense. They did move the ball quick enough that he got some good open shots.
Right.
So, give him credit for making the shots, but defensively, we did what we had to do to finish the game off.
I agree. And just a great game. Coach Speed and his staff, amazing night.
That's one of the best games you'll see in this gym.
Yeah, it will. And it was back and forth. It was a great high school basketball game. We had a great crowd that was into it from both sides. What Sam Goo, now the superintendent at South Point, what he's doing down there. Doug, principal, was the coach at Ironton.
Zorns?
No, he's my age.
Doug, Doug, I'm sorry. I
know.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
Hey,
it'll come to me.
We're allowed to remember world sponsors. Remember.
Chase Kratzenberg, what those guys have done down there in helping turn some programs around now that they're hired and they're in their spots is great. I think you're going to see a lot of battles between the Dragons and the Pointers for the next years to come.
There's definitely been improvement. Probably all.
Well,
sports.
Their football team has definitely improved, and their basketball team was already good. I think they're just keeping on what they're doing down there.
Yeah, going down there, we got to go down there and play. So
I know.
That's going to be
a battle. And that's the thing. Like I said all year with this boys league, nobody going undefeated in the OVC. And I said I don't think you win this league with just one loss. You probably win this league with 2, maybe 3 losses. And I don't know you have an outright champion because you've got teams that are playing really well. Ironton's playing really well. South Point's playing really well. We're playing really well right now. But remember, we still have to go to Gallipolis. We haven't played Portsmouth yet either time. The Barry kid from Portsmouth. is just lights out.
That rivalry, too,
Yeah,
down the road.
Got Chesapeake.
Chesapeake's not playing bad.
And we're going to be going to Chesapeake here pretty quick.
Tuesday.
I think Tuesday night.
Yeah.
So, Nathan's coming off a big win. Now he's got to prepare for this one. Danny Maynard, the Thacker kid. They've got some young kids. The Kazee kid, it's a freshman. They're a good young team. They beat Portsmouth last night. I think it was about 11 at Portsmouth. So
that's a big win.
That's
to me.
a big win. Yeah, it's a
going
huge
down
win.
to Portsmouth.
And I will say, people say you can say what you want about Stephen Ader. He's took a Chesapeake team that's kind of average and made him good because he kind of junks the game up. And that's not a knock on anything Chesapeake does. He's been a very smart coach by he's either slowing tempo down and kind of junking it up a little bit, playing some little bit of defenses, and it's keeping his team in the game, and he's getting some wins at the end because of that. So, again, please understand, fans that are watching this, when I say junking it up, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Not a bad thing. It's a good thing because that's some things that we've all had to do as coaches.
Absolutely.
You've got to figure out what you're good at and go do it. And sometimes maybe that is just being chaos or havoc.
Well, I'll tell you, just little things like people don't understand. If you're a coach and you're getting a run and they call a timeout, well, I always used to come out and change my defense.
Right.
I come in to come up with some completely different. It didn't matter if I came into a 1-3-1, a full court, if I went to a 2-3 crush.
My daughters do that every time.
I mean, that's
starting out in that one or a diamond press, and they're giving people fits, and then or they're playing their 1-3-1 zone or man or whatever it is, and the other team calls timeout. Whatever they were playing,
get out of
just change it. That's right.
At least one possession.
You're making kids think there.
That's right.
Instead of the
Chad Belvo was good at that, and he always told me, I was on his staff there, and when I was one of his head assistants, he said, "Listen, remember when we take a timeout or they take a timeout, especially if they take a timeout, because if you've got 2 or 3 stops, they're making an adjustment to what you're getting ready to do." He said, whether it's 1 possession or 2 possessions, let's get out of it. And it's funny, you guys said that and brought that up. We were in here with the press conference with Portsmouth West coach Hal. They came back and won over Midland. Midland was up, I think, 10, 12, something like that early.
Yeah.
Portsmouth West battled back, and Tim Stevens asked him in there, he said, "Coach, what kind of adjustment did you make?" Midland had the ball here for the last second shot. He said, "I went from a 1-3-1 to a man-to-man in that last possession." He said, "We got back in the game 1-3-1. He said, "My assistant coach looked down. He said, we could see him drawing something up and saying, 'Listen, this is how we're going to break that 1-3-1. He said, "I immediately went to man." He said, "When they come out," he said, "there's about 6 seconds left on the clock. It took them 5 to make the adjustment. They don't get a very good shot."
Right.
That's right. I mean, that's good coaching.
Did that the other night in the middle school game, the 8th grade game, against Gallia, which is truly one of the only teams that could give us fits.
Right.
And we were down 2 at halftime. And we came back and we took a 10, 11-point lead in the second half. And we played 1-3-1 most of the time. And they called timeout, and Holly told Ashley, "Hey, let's go to man." They can't get a shot off against our man. And it was 2:49 on the clock. And by the time they took a shot on the next possession, it was 1:30.
Wow, that's
so
good.
they took a minute and 10 seconds
it does.
off the clock just by doing what you're saying, changing up, because the other team is making an adjustment.
Right.
And,
But that's good coaching
It
news.
is good. There's a reason why a team took a timeout. You're hurting them at something. So if you make the change, they spend a minute, 30 seconds or a minute making an adjustment to what you've been doing to them, and then you come out and you're in something completely different.
Now
you've
they got to
wasted that
think.
time. Yeah, you've wasted that timeout because you didn't talk about that. Let's kind of shift gears and let's get over to the girls' side. We've talked a little bit about the boys. Coach Buchanan and these girls are having an amazing season. We start out the year against a very good team in Dayton Carroll down in the Cincinnati area, down in the Dayton area, over the Thanksgiving holiday.
That was in Cincinnati, Coach.
It was in Cincinnati, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I keep getting them mixed up all the time.
But it was against Dayton Carroll, but they played it in some kind of.
Was it Cincinnati Princeton? Is that where they played it?
I can't remember.
Or
Somewhere
Purcell
down-
or
Purcell,
something?
It was a big journey to the tourney tournament. Goes on every year. And to get invited to that, you have to at least make the regional the year before, and
Wow.
you have to have at least a D1 prospect. Those are the 2 requirements to get you into that tournament. If you didn't do either one of those, you ain't going to journey to the tourney. So So to get invited to that is huge. It's kind of like the one we're getting ready to go to, the Classic in the Country up at Berlin. It's the same way. If you don't have at least a college prospect, because when you go to that, I don't know that you guys have been to it. We went to it last year. It's the first time I've ever been to it. And, 99% of the schools we go into, I got a card because I'm the athletic director and say, hey, I'm the AD. I'm here because the administrator's got to be on site. I'm here for that game. So, sorry, we had some kids walking up here. I thought they were going to go in front of our camera. So anyways, I could come in and I say, and you always get somebody in with you. That's kind of the customary. I walk into the gate and I said, hey, I'm the athletic director of Fairland. The woman goes, so what's that mean? I said, well, I'm the administrator. I have to be here at the game. She goes, all right, $15. And I kind of looked at her and I was like, well, I'm the athletic director. She goes, okay, $15 and you can get in. I said, all right, that's fine. And so I paid it and I kind of laughed, all right, whatever. And she goes, I don't care who you are. She goes, if the president of the United States walks in here, he's going to pay $15 to watch this ball game. Now I know why she's working the door, because she's getting $15 out of everybody. But so it's that big of a tournament. And all along the baseline, there are gyms, they have a really nice gym. It doesn't have a mezzanine per se in it, but they have a really nice gym and a lot of area out of bounds. So all along the baseline is these padded chairs, and each of them have a piece of paper on it, and it says whatever college. Now, I'm not knocking it. It's not West Virginia State and Ohio Wesleyan sitting there. It's, we're sitting there. Marshall's sitting right in front of us. Ohio State's there last year when we were there watching them. So it's big D1. It's Iowa that's got Caitlin Clark playing right now. They've got an assistant coach sitting there watching some of those games. So that's the type of games that's coming into Berlin Highland.
I want to make you guys a little envious right now. January 27th, Ohio State plays Iowa up in Columbus. I'll be there.
Oh, jeez.
Christmas present.
No, that would be a good one to go watch. Caitlin's an outstanding player. But anyways, we got to get back to kind of what we were doing here. So, again, to get invited to some of these tournaments that Fairland's going to, you have to have a pedigree. Coach Buchanan has built that pedigree over the last 13, 14 years here at Fairland. These are tournaments that no one else. Portsmouth's going up there, but of course they have the Allen girl, who's a D1 prospect.
Right.
So, again, no one else in this area is getting that invite to Classic in the Country. It is a prestigious tournament, and the college coaches know, hey, if we want to go see quality basketball, we're going to go. Now, it's a progression for them. They start on Friday. It's always Martin Luther King holiday. Actually, they start on Thursday night. Berlin Highland plays one of their teams up there. Friday is average good teams. We'll say average good teams. Saturday, they're a little bit better. Sunday, they're really good. Monday, that's when, I hate to use this term, but that's when the dogs come in. That's when the big dogs come in. Who's playing Monday morning at 9 a.m.? The Dragons are playing Monday morning at 9 a.m. We're starting that day off on Monday. So we've worked up. We were in that tournament last year. We were on Sunday morning last year. So we've worked up to what they're considering the big dog game. We're going to play Goshen up there in that tournament. 9 a.m., Martin Luther King Day up there. If you're going up as fans, on Sunday, from Marietta to Berlin, there's going to be nothing open. So I highly suggest you eat either in Marietta before you get to Marietta and get gas. There will be nothing open all the way to Berlin except probably your hotel that you're going to check into.
Well, coaches, you think travel up 77, there's not a whole lot
as
you go up that way, because I go up that way quite a bit in the summer during the week.
But the 3 gas stations are not open.
Well, yeah.
They're not open. So Killer and I found that out last year. We come out of that game, we played in the middle of the day, so we didn't eat lunch going in because we drove up and come right straight back. So we'd ate breakfast in Proctorville that morning at 6:30 a.m. It was 6:30 p.m. before we got back to Parkersburg to get something to eat. All right, listen, I'm a healthy boy. I like to eat. I was starving, I had a headache and everything else. And so again, little advice: Sundays there's nothing open going that direction. But great tournament. So we're going up to that here, Martin Luther King holiday. And again, it's Journey of the Eternity. They played Dayton Carroll down there. Very good team. You're going to see some guys working in behind us. They're getting ready to change over our live stream for our next game. On 12-9, we go down to Shawnee State, played a very good Reynoldsburg team. Reynoldsburg was a D1 state champion 2 years ago. So a lot of those girls on that team had the experience, had been there, and had won a state championship. And it was an absolute just onslaught. I mean, from opening tip, we dominated that game.
Where was that game?
Well, that was the game at Shawnee.
Yeah,
you were down there. You were sitting right in front of us.
I was down there.
Yeah, you were sitting right in
But
front
I couldn't remember where it was.
Where it was?
But man, it was a great game.
It was a great game. Some great athletes.
We ended up just going, leaving them in the dust.
Leaving them in the dust. Bailey Russell had 30. It was 30, 31, 32. I know it took her forever to get. She had 29, and she missed about 9 straight layups. She could not get over that threshold, but she finally got it, and we were happy for Bailey. And so again, then we got our conference games in there, but then we go there right Christmas break started, right before Christmas. Girls go up to Marietta. Went to Warren High School, played a very good 4A team out of West Virginia.
Parkersburg, yeah.
Parkersburg has 2 really good teams, 2 good D1 players. Win by 15 there. Then after Christmas break, Marietta's coming in 9-0. The Dragons are 8-0. Marietta runs a little half-court trap thing.
Coach, I was surprised at how well we
I'm telling you.
I mean, I don't want to say annihilate because but
their coach, I think, asked John after the game, said, "You all play at that pace all the time?" Because we were just running them ragged. And John said, "That's just how we play." Yeah, and he's right.
And they do a good job. Him and his assistants do a good job of rotating subs in and out. And it is just, it is a brutal. Well, Nolan Richardson used to call it 32 minutes of hell, right?
Well, he did call it 32. It was back then. It was 40 minutes.
Or 40 minutes. Yeah, sorry. Probably by the time you got to that 32.
I think it's still 40 minutes.
Yeah, it is. I couldn't remember. But probably by the time you got to 32, you were done anyways. But again, it is just a brutal pace that Fairland plays at, and they played at it all year. And they were able to just kind of cruise control through Marietta there. Minford tonight. Minford's coming in pretty good to 7-2, I believe it is.
I think I meant to look and I don't remember exactly.
I think it's on the bottom of their schedule. Right here, 7-2, 2-0. They're the 43rd ranked team in Division III. Now, where does that come into play? This Max Prep state rankings. They're getting ready to release the first ever Max Prep rankings that is now going to be used for sectional seeding in the state of Ohio. It is no longer going to be a coach vote. Now, we've all sat in that room.
Oh, yeah.
And we've all argued. And I remember Coach Darrow at Wellston, 5, 6, 7 years I was in that meeting. Every time he'd walk in the door, it didn't matter whether it was 4 of us in the room or 15 of us in the room, he'd say, "Give me Norm Pearson and the Panthers. That's who I want first round." It didn't matter what Darrow's record was. That's what he wanted.
Was that John or Jim?
It was Jim.
He passed away.
Yeah, he passed away. And, great guy, but he'd always called Norman. But we'd argue for those seats, and it was face-to-face voting. So if we're both going into that meeting at 18-2, we're going to get to argue about that. But we're also going to know who voted for me and who didn't.
That's right.
Yeah.
So a few years ago, they went away from that. They went to computer voting, which I did not like, because now we're not in a room. We're just sitting behind the screen and going, here.
That's right. At least you couldn't own up to what you voted.
The first few years, you didn't see how everybody else voted. You just know you got a 6 seed, but you don't know why. So then coaches kind of complained a little bit about that. And they said, "Listen, we're not liking it. Now we're going to see how you voted. But you're still getting you're still just getting an email." Right. Well, if New Lex is voting Fairland a 7 seed, you're never going to see New Lex.
No.
So then they went to the super sectional thing. So we've done a little bit more complaining. So now we've went to a computer-based ranking, kind of like football, but Hebron's is not doing it. Max Preps is doing it. And so you get credit for your wins, of course, your record, your overall record, and who you have beaten. So if you've beaten a good team, you get a little bit more points.
It is like football.
It is like football. But the only thing, and this is one of the complaints I've heard from Ohio coaches here lately, originally it was going to be on your strength of schedule, but if you played a D1 school, you got more points than if you beat a D4 school. So if you beat a D4 school that was 18-0, you got a smaller number than if you beat a D1 that was 18-0. They have tucked that aspect out of it. They've took that out of it. So now it's just wins and who you've beaten. The school size doesn't matter. So John's going to get the same wins, the same amount of points if he beat an 18-0 D4 school as he would an 18-0 D1 school. So that's going to be a little bit different. But those rankings are going to come out sometime this week, and it's going to be kind of an ongoing process till we get to the tournament. So I think there is 18 teams in Division II. So if you're the top team in Southeast District, if you're a 1, and whoever's already at that 18 spot, that's who you're going to play. There's no voting.
So it's already set.
It's already going to be set. So you're going to know. You're going to be able to kind of follow through and say, all right, I'm a 2 seed. Who's number 17? Where we at? So you're going to kind of know. I think it's going to be a lot better process because now we're taking that human out of it. You and I have a disagreement. Well, I ain't voting for Dave Carroll because I don't like him.
That's
so
right.
I think it's going to take a lot of that human error out of it. I like this. I wish the size of the school. If you beat a bigger school, I wish it mattered. But so that's kind of how.
Why did they take that out? I mean, you get points for that in football.
You get points for that in football. I think that was when they talked about it, they were originally going to put that in, and I think it was going to be. I think it was because in basketball you play so many other schools out of the state. Like we got teams going to the Carolinas. We've been to the Carolinas. We've been to D.C. So it's hard to tell what is Horry County High School in South Carolina in Ohio rankings because nobody knows who that is.
Right.
So that was a little bit difficult. So I think that's why they took that scheduling out. Where football, it's easier to know those schools. So as we look at that, so right now Minford is 43rd. Now this is in the state. They're not breaking it down into districts yet. They're going to start doing that this week. Fairland is the number 16 in D2. Okay? So we just seen Warren play here behind us. That was also in D2. That was the 16th team rated in D2. So it's a little bit different, and I know it's going to be kind of a little bit difficult for the old school basketball to understand how these rankings go. And so when we get everything ranked, the higher seed will host. The athletic director, the athletic director, sorry about that. The athletic director, the coach, the principal does not determine where games are played. So higher seed will host in the sectional semis. Higher seed will host in the sectional finals. District semis, finals, regional semis, regional finals will now go to a neutral site.
Right.
It doesn't matter how far you are from that school.
Are we going to be in Waverly again, or do they have those sites determined
I
yet?
think we were in Logan the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Well, we were. I just didn't know.
Right.
I mean, we're in
I'd like
D2
to see
now.
them go back up to Ohio University.
Yeah. Well, the boys now is district semis, district finals is going back to the combo. Before you had to get district finals here the last couple of years. They finally going to put that back. There's some rumors behind that. We're not going to spread rumors, but anyways, district finals is going to OU. Same thing with girls. I don't know whether it'll be Waverly or Logan for that district because we're in D2.
Right.
Last year it was in Logan because we're D2. Then we went to Zanesville. I don't know that they've determined those sites yet. But again, we don't have any say-so where we go. That's just, and sometimes it's not fair because you could be playing scenario. Our game could be at Waverly and we could be playing Piketon. Piketon's 9 miles down the road and we're, it's just kind of how it goes. So.
What time is it? What time we got?
6:38. So we got a few minutes here.
22.
We want to talk about a couple things, and then we're going to talk about Monday's match. We're going to talk about this matchup. We're going to talk about Monday's matchup.
We got to hurry. We got to move all this
One
stuff.
of the things we need, and you were worried about whether I had enough information. One of the things we were talking about here, and I pointed out to you guys, Bree Allen's 1,282 points for her career. She's number 9 in school history as far as
boys and girls. Yeah.
She has moved into 6th place for girls. She's right behind Tara Stapleton. Tara Stapleton had 13. Julie Curry's the all-time leading scorer at 1473. She has the opportunity. She continues to play, plays well, does what she does. She has the opportunity to get that honor, which would be a huge honor.
Yeah.
Boys all-time leading scorer, AP, Aiden Porter, played here a few years ago, 1,690 points.
That's a lot.
1,690 is probably out of Bree's reach unless she has a really, really, really successful 8-9 game, 50-point game margin here. Guys. So Bree's doing some things there. I know Bailey's on pace. Addison Godby's on pace. So we've got some girls that's on pace. I keep a running record there. Want to give a quick shout out before we talk about the game. C.J. Graham, 112 career wins right now wrestling as a junior. He's approaching the school record. I'm not 100% sure. I'm close. We've talked to some people. We know he's going to be probably approaching that middle of next year. Will Calicote just got his 100th win.
Yep, knew that.
They were off today. They'll wrestle next week. So they were off today. Good one. So let's talk about Minford. Mighty Minford Falcons and the Fairland Dragons getting ready to tip off here at 7 o'clock. Like I said, we know that Minford's coming in at 7-2. They're 2-0 in the SOC. Going to be a good matchup. As we look at their roster, we know that they have a girl that's about
6'3".
6'3".
Lindsay Williams.
Lindsay Williams.
Yeah.
You know.
And they've got another couple other.
They've got a couple other girls. I just know that, you know, they've got some other girls that can just flat out play.
But you know, we're a long team, too.
Oh, yeah. We've got, we look at that. They got a 6'3" girl and a 6-foot girl. Well, as we go down that list here,
well, they got a 5'11" too.
They got 5'11", but we got Bree, it's about 6 foot. We got Kylie, it's about 6 foot. We got Hannah, it's about 6 foot. Addison, 6'1". So I mean, we're pretty daggone big for a Southern High team, or we've got some athletes too. So
yes, we do.
I was so glad to see that they put in that 1-3-1.
Yes.
Because I talk with the daughters all the time about coaching, and we were always talking about, man, if they just put in another type of defense, because they play excellent, man, don't get me wrong. But their bench is not long, number one.
Right.
But physically and athletically, they're long, lean, and quick. And a 1-3-1 will give a team that doesn't shoot very well.
Fits. Especially if you rotate how somebody taught me how to rotate my middle guy and my back guy.
And one of the things we're talking about a lot of length that we have, and we're talking about a lot of our taller girls. The one girl that has stood out, kind of watching the live streams here the last few days or few games that they played, Cam Barnabas, running the floor, leading the floor, looking up. She's not showing up a lot over in the point stat, but the assist and the defense, and she is becoming a leader on the floor.
Yes.
I can't say enough about Cam. Just what she's done here quietly. She's kind of leading this team.
Well, I'm not surprised, because when she played for me in 7th grade, I mean, I had Issa, who was just head and shoulders, but Cam was the glue. Mm-hmm. And I remember we played Portsmouth. We had to shut one girl down. I remember talking to Cam, and I said, you're the one that's going to stop this girl. And she did.
I've seen improvement in not just Cam. Kylie Bruce having the best season she's ever had. Addison Godby staying out of foul trouble now and becoming a force on offense as well as defense. Mm-hmm. Bree Allen's being Bree Allen. And then you got Issa coming off the bench, just like the other night. Tegan Leap comes off the bench.
12 points big.
4 for 4. Or 4 for 5. I'm not sure which one it was, but I know she buried 4 threes, and they were beautiful, all good shots. And that's got to do a lot for her confidence. So each person on that team is growing.
Yes.
Athletically and mentally, and they're just, I don't know who's going to stop them.
I know. It's going to be tough.
We stop ourselves and don't do what we're supposed to do.
Right. But tonight's no cakewalk.
No cakewalk.
For sure.
It's going to be another challenging night. And we're going to roll out of here. We get one day. We're going to go over a scouting report tomorrow. We're going to shoot. We're going to make some adjustments. We're going to roll into Portsmouth Monday night.
That's going to be
I don't get to go.
You don't get to go?
Junior high game.
No.
We play Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
So, going to be a big one. I think it will be probably live streamed on their channel. So, again, as we talk about that, we kind of know we got some teams coming up here kind of unfamiliar with what we're doing here. We're trying to.
They got to get their pizza, man.
That's right. We kind of direct traffic here a little bit. Portsmouth's been a very good, very athletic team. Sabrina Allen, great point guard for them. Amy Hughes' niece, she runs the show. They got some other girls, Deja.
Oh, yeah.
They can flat out play, and it's going to be a great.
Deja, and there's another one, Haven.
Yep. Yeah. It's going to be a great matchup for us.
And that place down there will be crazy.
Oh, it'll be nuts.
Yeah. They turn the lights out, got the spotlight when they do the introductions.
Right. As we talk about it, you said that's been kind of brought up here. Why does Fairland not do that? Well, I'll tell you why Fairland doesn't do it. It has nothing to do with Jeff Gorby. It has nothing to do with Tessa Lee. I asked my coaches, do you want to do it? Nope. We want tradition. We want to start the game. We keep everything the same.
Yeah.
Coaches are very superstitious.
What says those lights are not going to come back on?
That's right.
Right. But
You know what I mean?
Those old mercury vapors that took
You
15
could have never
minutes.
done it over at the old guys' school.
But coaches a lot of time are very superstitious. People are very superstitious people. And as long as you're winning, you don't change it. You never change it.
Nope, that's right.
So that's one of the things
Well, you
that
got the
don't.
12 cents in your pocket still?
I don't. Basketball, I'm a little bit different. Football, I'm very superstitious. Basketball, I'm a little bit different. But I did say tonight when we come up here, I looked at Coach Carroll and I said, "Now wait a minute. I sit right here."
Yeah,
right?
we had to get our
We had to get
our sitting order.
So,
I knew that.
but that's some things we can be very superstitious about some things. But like I say, basketball coaches are, and I've asked them, "What do you want to do?" It's completely up to them. Pregame and all that's completely up to them. And they said, we're going to keep it tradition. We're going to keep it tradition. So as we start wrapping some things up here, Coach, how's the granddaughters doing basketball-wise?
I'm telling you, well, I'm happy to report that Stella, who's the one of 2 8th graders on the 8th grade team, is finally out of the boot.
Well, that's good.
And she's coming along, and hopefully she gets to be a part of a game before the season's over. I look for them to win it all. They beat the one team that gave us trouble last Thursday night was Gallia. They were ahead of us by 2, but we ended up winning by 10. But anyway, the 7th grade team, we start 4 7th graders on the 8th grade team, so the 7th graders only play 2 quarters, and they're undefeated.
Right.
The 8th grade has lost 1. It was a tough 6-point loss at Wheelersburg, and we just didn't play well. None of us played well. That was a team effort in losing that one, but anyway, I don't look for them to lose again. I think they'll sweep, go through the OVC unscathed, and then they'll take the tournament, and then that will be it. But hopefully that we get Stella back. But my daughters Ashley and Holly are coaching and doing a tremendous job, and they're going to be the next good group coming in here.
Yeah, we talk about that. We always say next good group, and they're Coach they are. I'm not taking anything away from them, but I don't think it's the next good group because they're just reloading.
Yeah.
Ellison's in 4th grade, or 5th grade. Sorry, her group's really good. The 4th grade group's really good. The 3rd grade group's really good.
Yeah.
And they just kind of keep filtering through. But before we sign off, I do again thank you so much to my wife. Everything this week, I couldn't do it without her.
Now, coaches' wives are a rare breed, brother.
She is.
Yep. You got to have a good one.
She is. I'm never home, but when she's here, that's maybe why she has a smile on her face because I'm never home.
That's probably it.
But she was in here earlier, about 15, 20 minutes. We ate dinner here in the hospitality room. Brenda Dillon, Juanita Dillon, Shelly Dillon.
Hey, that food down there, Coach.
And it wasn't just them. I know.
No, there's
Holly brought in stuff. My wife Peggy brought in stuff.
I talked to
and
her.
my son-in-law.
They were
good. I had a couple of those tonight.
Here we are talking about food.
So, again, both of my daughters, Yardley's been here. She's been helping me. She took off a few minutes ago. She's been helping
with big help.
She is. She's been helping with post-game stuff. Ellison's here now. She's down here with some friends.
There's a lot of people think. But, hey, Coach, we got to thank Mary Johnson.
Yes,
look
Mary
at this,
Johnson.
everybody. Christmas presents. Codgers are back.
That's
yes,
good.
and to all Dragon Nation, I thank you for all the nice things you said on Facebook about missing the Codgers, and I'm going to tell you, there's nobody happier for us to be back than us.
That's right. We're excited about doing this game here in about
10 minutes.
And we got some stuff to move around before we can get started. So
we're going to get off of here. The old Codgers will be back. I'm going to step off. I'm going to kind of do my job. We're going to kind of have some different things for us tonight. We're going to try some new things, so bear with us. Again, we're excited to have you guys back. We know you do the Portsmouth girls game at the end of the year. We're going to do a couple boys game, Chesapeake here in a few weeks here. End of season with Wheelersburg boys. Those are 2 huge games.
Hopefully we get to do some tournament games too.
Some tournament games.
I was thinking about that. Hopefully.
We had a very exciting football season, a lot of stress. We kind of went through some things. We wanted to kind of decompress, take a step back a little bit, let our students, Ryan Dixon, Braxton Trader,
Ryan Brewster was here somewhere.
Alex Cyrus.
We've got
Nolan Bennett. Those guys, I know there's more we're missing that's been in and out. Those guys have done
Garrett Spence.
Garrett Spence. Those guys have done an
Who was the girl?
Catherine Swalski.
Swalski. Yeah. Those guys and girls have done an outstanding job of running our production, and they're running it all themselves. And that's kind of what we wanted to get to, the goal. That way we could kind of take a step back. We do the games, the big, huge games, the games that we, so we're not going every daggone night and trying to go through this.
Well, and folks at home, with my new job, with Coach Harris being gone with his granddaughters, you're here somewhere on the road almost every night out of the week. It's just too hard for us to produce all this stuff.
It is.
And Jerry Bell, he's covered up. Doug, getting him here, so.
Right. There's a huge difference between 10 football games and 44 basketball games.
Oh, yeah.
There's a huge difference.
It doesn't matter. Whenever we're going to do it, we're glad to do it.
That's right.
And we're doing it for everybody out there in Dragon Nation. That's what we're doing it for.
Yes, sir.
Dragon Nation, we appreciate you tuning in to the pregame show. We're going to cut off to the game here in just a second, and then we'll be back for postgame. You guys will have your postgame here with Fairland. I'll take Minford in there, and then then they'll go in and do their conference with Tim Stevens. Dragon Nation, we're going to be back here in about 8 minutes.
All right, thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Forth, and I think we took steps, and that's what we talked about. Had a big win over Webster.